we know class, you can't fake it. Either you have it or you don't. Either you on class level 1 or class level 10, however you want to make it. But you have to think of how different it is for a person who got it out the mud and now they're worth $100 million. Yes, they can go in the rooms and buy what they want and do what they want and invest and meet certain people and have certain conversations, but they didn't get their money until, after 40, But then you have people who were born and raised with nannies. They live in their house. You got people whose parents, I'm putting this in like realistic terms. You have people whose parents wrote checks for private school tuition every semester. Like in my mind,
in kindergarten,
I can't even imagine it. Like I literally can't imagine writing a check to a private school, $35,000 for somebody's education. I can't fucking imagine. I mean, but the thing is that okay, private school, a lot of us have been in private school at some point in our lives. Not a big deal.
Yeah, not me.
But I'm saying private college, it could literally be $60,000 a semester.
Yeah.
This shit is crazy. And again, I got a few coins, but I still can't imagine writing a $60,000 check to anybody's school for somebody's kid to go to college. I just can't.
With no sweat, no nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I gotta get smart.
Here you go. Go get my checkbook. Like that. Like your mom used to write a check for your school trip, your field trip. Like that. But when you think about it, so you grew up with nannies. Your parents pay for your college tuition. You grew up in a 10,000 square foot home. Your parents have always driven luxury cars. Your parents even have like their donating pool. So a lot of times we budget. So we say we're gonna give $10,000 this year. They have a philanthropy budget. You know what I mean? Just shit that to some people it's normal. To some people it's normal. So how do you put people from these totally different backgrounds, not even backgrounds, but just totally different classes, how they were raised and stuff? How do you even put them together? It's kind of hard to do when you think about it. You grew up eating bully beef, exactly.
Bully beef.
Exactly.
Corned beef.
for the Jamaicans.
Known as a struggle meal.
You going? No. Look.
Oodles and noodles. We all know that.
I'm being honest. I don't even know what oodles and noodles is. I know it's a noodle, but I don't know if it's like in a can. Oh, see, we call it ramen. I don't know.
But not the cup ones.
The classy people call it ramen today.
But I've been calling it ramen my whole life.
I figured out what the fuck ramen was that these people keep talking about.
Ramen is so good.
I'm like, cup noodles? The pack? I never actually was into the pack. I always thought that the pack was always so overdone.
Child.
You mean it was less than? I felt like people who ate cup of noodles thought that they had more class than us that ate out the packs. First of all, there was one big thing that we forgot on this whole class thing. And the biggest thing that we need to make sure that is implemented in this conversation is lineage, right? Class has lineage. There's not just my dad and my mom was rich. No, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather owned 17 banks.
That's rich.
No.
But wealth is generational.
I go 3 generations back, that would be considered wealthy. But when I say lineage, for example, Rothschild's family, that's a lineage of wealth. But there's a certain demand on that name in terms of how you need to represent yourself if you were born into that family. So the class is also implemented or synonymous, I should say, with the lineage of the reputation of the name that you're walking around with. I'm not saying that some people don't break away from the class, because there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But majority, if I could say there's been 5 generations, I'm talking about generations to actually have kids, right? So let's just say 25 years, realistically. So you could have a 75, my great-grandfather could be, or my grandpa could be 75. That's 3. If my grandpa was rich and my mom is rich and now I'm rich, born rich, or wealth, I don't consider that wealthy. But now when we go back 5, now we're talking about a century right? You're talking about at least a century of wealth within our family.
And you've had to do a lot to maintain it. It ain't just like we passed the money down and they did something and you just happen to be rich. It's more so like there's trust involved, there's lawyers involved.
They're all about 100 years old, right? At least.
No more.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying they're at least 100. Like your family lineage, for you to really be born into class, has to be around 100 years old. You can adapt it. Yeah, like let's say if I'm a third generation born into wealth, I can adapt it because now my family has finally been able to be accepted.
If it would be weird for a guy to date a woman who was born into wealth and her family from generations before has been wealthy, what would be different than her making more money in her newly wealth and you're driving a bus?
So the difference is money, even new wealth, is different from the pressures of class. There's a certain walk you need to have, a certain iteration you need to have, behavior. Even the way I'm sitting right now, kind of slouch, might not be accepted. So the pressures on how you need to conduct yourself on the day-to-day basis is entirely different than just saying, hey, my girl got money. You know what I'm saying? So like when you're walking into a room, like, so people don't know this, but like obviously we do work outside of here, right? So one of the things that I've been doing, which technically the word isn't broker, but I've been middlemaning in the streets, that's what we would say, big time diamond deals with intermediary work, right? With Jewish people, with buyers and sellers. And the people that I have that have these big time diamonds, I'm talking about $100 million diamonds. You wouldn't even guess that they would even have that, right? First of all, the way that they conduct themselves and walk around, you just wouldn't even know it, right? They just keep themselves very low key, calm, chill. They're not doing too much. Now, for me, if you said, Rico, here's $100 million diamond, and I sold that shit, it's gonna be hard for me to act like that guy right there. You know what I'm saying? And so like there's a lot of different behavior demands for you to even fit into a class. And then dating a woman who was born into that class and being where I'm from, you know what I'm saying? Just me personally, it'll be the biggest adjustment and culture shock for me ever. Because it'd be like, excuse me, like, you know, remember y'all watch Kanye West, right? Remember when his voice started changing? Y'all don't remember when his voice started changing?
When?
Like in the last 3 years prior to the breakup and all. He started doing interviews and his voice changed. It was like, you ever seen Undercover Brother?
No.
Oh, his voice went higher. I think I've heard about this.
When Undercover Brother started dating She Devil, right?
I don't know.
And his voice completely changed. They're like, what kind of shoes do you have on? Like everything about him changed. I feel like that's what class is when you're coming from the bottom dating somebody that was born in. And I think it's a way bigger adjustment than saying, hey, look, yeah, my girl's a, first time in her family millionaire.
Okay,
Like
it's a bigger adjustment, but you would adjust based on the lineage of wealth versus you personally.
Yeah.
Versus new wealth.
Yeah, I mean, because I see the bigger picture. So do you
think that you would not adjust at all? Like, especially with, like, her taking you out into, her social life, whatever. You wouldn't adjust?
So me personally, I would make the adjustment because I see the bigger picture. Even if I had to sacrifice my own happiness. Really just so that in that way that my kids, that whoever is
what's there to not be happy about?
Well, there's a lot of people that struggle with themselves when they're forced to code switch entirely, right? And when you're forced to code switch entirely, you start to lose your identity and you don't even know who you are anymore because you're being what they need you to be. And so, and I understand it, but for me personally, when you're asking me, I can make that adjustment. I can make that sacrifice, even if it's like, yo, the Rico that could be outspoken and super, fun and witty, whatnot. And you're not talking about me now because I'm about to make my own, but you're talking about me in the struggling, coming out of high school.
I would think that if I have a person, my person makes more than me and I'm in this now classy, wealthy social circle, I'm going to try to profit. I'm going to feel inspired in being in these social circles. So what can I do? How can I get in to actually fit in and not just be on her, like her arm candy? You know what I'm saying? Like, you won't have to feel like you're code switching. You won't have to feel like you're like out of place. Like, how can I come up? I literally just watched this interview. I don't know if you guys are too familiar with Lotto. She does a little show now on YouTube, and her last episode, I'd be watching it. She did an episode with her sister, and her sister started a business and she wanted to do it by herself, but her Lotto kept saying, like, let me help you. Like, obviously I'm a big star. I'm famous. Like, I have the money. Let me help you. And it's just like, if you have somebody very close to you that has the money, and you can have them help you do whatever you want in life. You don't have to think small. Think big. You got somebody to help you.
The whole mindset and mentality and the culture is different. It's like, it's basically you being a lower class person dating a high upper class person is literally the same as being like, yo, you know what? I'm going to take a black guy and dump him in the middle of Poland and say, figure it out. With no coaching, like, and then you're just going to be forced to try to you're going to have to, how do I speak this language? You know what I'm saying? You have to learn a literal new life. And not everybody is able to do it. It doesn't even matter what you would want to do, because I think a lot of people want to be in a position to be rich, but you cannot do it because it's an entirely different world, entirely different etiquette, entirely different verbiage, entirely different culture. And so when you realize that, it's like, damn, am I abandoned? Like, a lot of people struggle with identity because, in my opinion, like, damn, am I abandoning where I came from?
Hell yeah.
Am I abandoning?
Leave that shit behind.
But a lot of people can't. You feel me? I struggle with. Listen, I struggle with trying to get out of the hood, and I'm good, right? So like, I can't even imagine being like, yo, being one of the JP Morgan and Chase or whoever family that is. I can't even imagine being in that world and realm and trying to walk around. It's like, yeah, you can't talk to your mother no more because your mother has no class. She doesn't fit here. And you got to say, okay. Like, that's how serious it gets. You know who's been there, and you know how they treat you and look at you because you're new here. And the art world, all this, like, that's probably the highest class of people you'd ever meet, right? I had a girl at Montclair State University who was a white woman, and she was bad as hell at that time, smart as hell, but her family, I don't want to say that they were upper or high class, but they definitely came from money for a long time. And we were fucking, right? But she wouldn't date me because she said my parents would never allow me to date a black man. Michael B. Jordan versus other African Americans who come from the same area, Newark, New Jersey, right? He has adapted a whole different behavior and way he conducts himself to, even if he wasn't good stock, they can see the potential in his
But
stock.
that's why I said Carlton wouldn't
like Carlton, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if she was worried about the type of black man that she were to present to her family, I'm thinking Carlton, who has all the markings and the makings
He's okay.
of people of a certain class, the education, boat shoes, doing a little line in the bathroom, like all the little. I mean, it's on the new Carlton doing lines.
The new Carlton
That's why I said Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Carlton or Bel-Air Carlton.
So I think that Carlton would actually be more palatable than Michael B. Jordan, because he's gonna talk about going to the polo match, and
if like all the people in this world or not this world, but this country, specifically the people with new money, right? I wish they knew why they bought a Louis Vuitton shoe. You don't.
That's a good point.
You don't know why you bought that Gucci shoe. You don't know why you're buying Ferragamo and why you're buying Givenchy. Right?
Not Givenchy.
Not Givenchy. It's Givenchy. You know what I'm saying? So the people who we're talking about of the upper class know why. They know where where the leather from, the sheepskin leather that might have been on that LV bag. They know that it was in New Zealand sheepskin. You know what I'm saying? They know all of the actual logistics of these products. So that's the difference between class and just basically trying to fit in and being bougie.
People would, they say, oh, I'm going to this art show. I'm going to buy art, because they know that rich people buy art. But the thing is that a lot of wealthy people buy art so that they can launder money.
Yep.
So it's the information. But you think you flexing because rich people buy art and you're just emulating what they're doing versus the smart thing, trying to launder money. We're not encouraging laundering money.
But it is.
But this just goes back to information. Like you just said, the LV thing. So you think, oh, I'm going to an art show. I'm gonna spend 50 racks on a painting. You're just doing it to put it in your house because you thought it was cute. Whereas the reason why people typically invest millions of dollars in paintings is to launder money.
Yeah.
Like they have the information in order to do it. So I mean, I think all of these are like prime examples of like how interconnected money and class are.
And information. Yep.
Well, what's the money leads to the information that leads to the class.
Yep.
But I think that, and I wish we were really talking about this when it comes to like regular people, because regular people, two different class levels could literally be just, I have a PhD and you are an electrician. We both make good money. We both are respected in our fields, but you and I may not be able to like socially connect because of what you've been exposed to and what you like, or what I've been exposed to and what I like. I mean, I think it's great if the roles are reversed and say the electrician can, teach you about certain, because the things that he will be able to teach you things, he's handy. He is going to be able to teach you stuff. But when it comes to like the finer things in life, like art and champagne recommendations and
food, restaurant,
all that kind of
chefs, yep.
or places to go, history, stuff like that. He can probably teach you some stuff, but I personally don't think that that's like the norm. Because at the end of the day, if you a PhD, you've been in school for a long time. You didn't have to read a lot of books. You didn't have to write a lot of papers. And it's. I just don't see how those two worlds can easily come together.
But the thing is and going back, it's a lot about the information in your surroundings. See, the thing, if I had to separate it, it's not even the schooling that separates them, in my opinion. What really separates them is your environment after the fact. So like after you do whatever courses that you need to do to become an electrician, and after you do the schooling to become or to get your PhD, let's just say, you're a doctor or a brain surgeon, okay? You're now entering the world of brain surgeons who've been brain surgeons and people who have been of a higher level for 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. So you have 50, like if I just had somebody that was aside of me who's been making, $500,000 a year for 30 years, the amount of experiences and knowledge and class and information that they're going to give to me is going to be a lot different than my electrician dude who might be making $200,000 by himself with no other people giving him real class advice. So that's why I can see why that doesn't work. But it's really the surroundings that in my opinion, that is really giving you that information that's so vital to determine your class.